drew up a information chart to give you guys some reference. So remember, inequalities are these signs right here. This is the greater sign. This is the greater, and with the little line on the bottom is greater and equal to. This is the less than, and equal to. All right, so when you are graphing, when we go to graph these lines, remember that the ones with no lines on the bottom, see this is greater than, it's broken, so we have a broken line, and this is less than, see there's no line there. All right, so that's a broken line. And the ones with the equal to, the greater than equal to, is a solid line, solid line. So just remember that when you graph. Those are common errors made. People don't pay attention. Now when you shade, when you're talking about greater than, you're shading above the line. So both of these are shaded above the line. Then when we deal with less than and less than, these are shaded below the line. And you can get these features with your calculator. And I can show you that. And these are the triangles you're looking for. This is greater, ditto, and this is less. And how I remember is I imagine this is the line. This is shading up. There's the line which is shading down. So it fits those models. Okay, example 1. Graph a linear line. So the first thing you got to do is you got to get it into y form, y equals form. So all I do is I take this and move it over, and then I get that. Now, if you want to graph it with our calculator, we just go to our calculator now. And we're going to go to y equals. And we're going to put in, let's just clear this old stuff I had in. Okay, so now we have negative 2x plus 3. Now to get these inequalities, we go over here, all the way over to the far left. Okay, so you can see the cursor is flashing right here now. See the cursor right there is flashing. So I'm looking now for these triangles I just mentioned earlier. So this is, as you can see, a greater sign, right? Greater than equal. So greater was, here's your line, it's the shading up. So we're looking for that triangle. Okay, so let's find that triangle. Okay, so let's hit enter. Enter is the button that we're going to get these triangles. So enter. So not that one. So there it is. There's the greater than. Now we hit graph. And there it is. So let's just go to our normal window. It's a 10 by 10. So zoom 6. So the only thing this doesn't really show us very well is if it's a broken or a solid line. So if I'm dealing with this first question I look at here, it's got the line on the bottom. So I know it's going to be a solid line. So when you're drawing this on the test, make sure you tell me it's a solid line. All right, so let's move on and let's show how we can do it without a calculator, because I think it's easier without a calculator. So the first thing we do is we look at the slope. So that's the number in front of the x, so there it is. And the y-intercept, the b, is 3. So you always plot this first. Plot the y-intercept first. Okay, so that's the very first thing you want to do. So 1, 2, 3, I plot it there. Now, from there I do my slope. So my slope is negative 2. It's good to put it over 1 because now we have a rise over 1. Well, this is not a rise, this is a drop because it's negative. This is a 1. So I drop 2, 1, 1. So there's my 2 dots. I get my line drawn now. Now, we are going to do our shading. I put my solid line in because it was a equal to. And I know from the reference table before, because it's greater, we shade upwards. So from that line, we go up, 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 up. We don't go down. All right, so now you're going to get a question. It's going to ask you, determine if the point, so this point here is a part of the solution. Well, we can see if I plot 0, 1, it's right there. So it's not a solution. So you say, no, no solution. But to save yourself a whole bunch of work, if I had this question and I wanted to find if it was a solution or not, I would not graph it and then plot it. I would just substitute it and then solve it. So there's my y, there's my x. So all I do is put the 1 there, put the 0s for the x, and I'll just solve. So that's 0, that's 3. Now you say to yourself, is 1 greater than 3? No. So you can do it that way. So it makes life a little easier sometimes. All right, then you can do it through intercepts. So that's another example. Okay, so let's try this one. So we got our linear function right here. Now we have to get it into y. Okay, we have to get to that form y equals. So let's just start off. We've got a 2 in front of that, so we have to keep that 2 there. Move that over, so we get negative 4x plus 10. And we divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2. And so there it is. Now I'm just going to bring up a point before I forget, because it does pop up sometimes. So here's a really important thing. I'll put a star. If I had a negative 2y, say greater than 4x plus 10. All right, say I had something like that. Now, when I divide that negative 2, because I have to divide what's in front, now I get y, I get negative 2x, I get plus 5. So now, this, when you divide by negatives, remember this, when you divide by negatives, these guys right here, your inequality sign switches. So you got to really pay attention. So I'll double star that. So when you divide by negatives, when you divide by negative, you switch your inequality sign. Okay, so really pay attention to that. Okay, so let's getting back to my question over here. So we now have our slope, let's say m is negative 2 and our b is 5. So let's plot this first. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's the y-intercept. And the slope is drop 2 over 1, drop 2 over 1, drop 2 over 1, drop 2 over 1. Okay, now, is it a solid line or a broken line? So now we look to our question right here, and we know it's solid because it's got the equal. So when I connect these dots, remember it's a solid line. Okay? Now, shading, it's greater than. So it's up. So I shade up. So now I get my shading. Shade up. Okay, so there is the graph. Now we can plot this. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is right there. And so that is, yes, it is in the solution section.